Today, I sit down with a photographer from Columbia, Maryland, known as Trokon and Derson on Instagram. They've done projects such as CCTV, and they're also a member of the creative collective 40i. I'd like to introduce my guest, Trokon and Derson.
Thank you for having me.
Right. So let's just get straight into it. I would like to understand, like, what starts your creativity? Obviously, you're in the creative field. I want to know, like, what is prompts like your creativity? Where'd you get your start in creativity at?
It really started as the. It really started as like the want to just not do nothing. That was a really big thing for me. Just spending a lot of time, wasting time. It felt like, okay, like if I literally have a dead end job, that's not going to invest back into me, and I'm not investing enough time into the, what do we call, quintessential life pathways, then I have to find another way to express myself that will also make things work for me. You know what I mean? So that's where it started. Now it's more so like continuing the identity that I've tried to build for myself. That's important to me.
Yeah. And when did you think that you got your first experience with cameras and photos? Would you say that was before you found your love for creativity, or after you found your love for creativity?
In terms of photos, I'd always seen like pictures that like Cannon Carter did and Gunnar Stahl and like all the people who took pictures of Cardi and Uzi and Yachty and all those people back in the day, all those celebrities. But I never really had like any experience with like, I wasn't an artist. I hated art class because every art teacher made everything so tight because they were trying to teach you about principles like drawing and fucking what's another word for it? Composition. Yeah. So it never really gave me like a more free perspective into making art. In high school, I was dating a girl and she showed me her camera, her film camera from photo class. I was like, yo, this is chill. Looking through that viewfinder, you seeing like the way they set up the focus thing, little thing.
Right.
Even being a photographer, I don't even know what to call it, those little squares inside the viewfinder, but I just thought that was super cool. From there, a couple years later, I was like, let me pick up that thing that I wanted to pick up for a while that I didn't.
Yeah. So do you think that with you finding your love for cameras, obviously, like you said, cameras was probably like your first experience with creativity. Do you think that picking up the camera, you kind of had a first love to it, or did you find like your immediate niche with it, or do you think that you had to take some time to develop your love with photos and taking pictures?
I didn't see a style or anything like that off the jump, but I knew that starting with film, there was a purpose of why I started with film and not a digital camera. First, it was cheap.
Right.
It was cheap for one, and then two, they just look cool. The photos look cool. The little green tinge that some of the photos have, or the random light leaks that you get that you don't really expect. The risk about it was cool. The fact that if I mess these up, they're gonna come out or not come out at all. They're gonna come out weird or not come out at all. Yeah, I feel like there was a part to your question. Could you like restate it?
Oh, I was just saying, like, do you think that with photos that you just got it right away, or did you think that you had to kind of like find your niche with it, or like find a love within it?
No. I knew that I wanted to take pictures of people, but I wasn't doing it very great when I started. I think after getting some film developed once or twice, I like saw some shots. Like you'll see when you like pick up a hobby and you pick up something, the first little glimmer that you get of, oh, I'm kind of good at it. It's like it means a lot to you. Like
Right.
it's like a bit like, oh shit, I have a vision, I guess. Yeah. So that's what I saw at first.
Right. So, like, with your start, obviously, around the time that you started taking photos, you also started a creative collective, 40i. Can you kind of speak on that, how you kind of started that?
Well, the main thing is like we started that together. For one thing, like we talked about that, but I figured that within our group of like creatives or just people or just we were all friends. You know what I'm saying, we don't really call ourselves creatives or anything like that, but within the group we found that like different people started like having a love and investing in time and putting it out there that they did things. And then, like I know at first we were like thinking about it as like almost like a label or something. And then I think that there was just a need for us to come together and push each other
Right.
for more than just let's go to work, let's get some money. You know, everyone has a friend group and they're like, oh, we gonna be successful, we gonna get some money, we're gonna do this and that. But I think that step for us was like moving it into how we're going to accomplish that, and like what can we do to encourage it.
Right. So, with the creative collective, how do you think your creative collective helps people who may not be as creative within the creative collective?
I just think it encourages like, okay, so within the group, we've had the opportunity to make YouTube videos. We've had the opportunity to bolster each other through like photo shoots and through, Josh has been doing videos for like Rasan for a minute. He's been doing videos for Judson. He's been doing videos for us in general. We do events. That's like one of the big, like that's like a big portion of what we do. And so putting people who like don't have a title in a position where they can work towards something could inspire them to do things themselves, to do creative things themselves, to want to have a function in the bigger picture of what we said we want to do together. I think that's important. I think that's important because when you have, all right, for friends, for example, just for friends, right? When I talk to certain people about like, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that, but I don't have enough time for this, but I can't do this, but it's been so long that I think that us making this gives people within the group that don't necessarily have a title the opportunity to erase those butts, erase those blocks, and say, what can I do? And I think that's important for not just us within the group, but people who are adjacent and people who know us, people that we can, even our, like, that type of outreach, that type of encouragement can expand to your parents, bro. Like,
Right.
even your parents seeing that he did an event. I was talking to my mom. I was like, Ma, that cleaning business you want to do, that's something you can do. It takes a concerted effort. It takes support from people like me, you know. And that's the thing. Like, our group is also support for each other and saying that that thing that you want to do, that big project that looks so big and wide that looks unaccomplishable, is accomplishable. It's possible. So yeah.
Right. So, with that being said, like, do you think 40i has helped you kind of find your way within the photography world and kind of have helped you within that space?
I think that one of the biggest things I would say when I started photography was, not only do I want to be good at this, but it's helping me see that I can also go to those rooms that I want to be in. That was a big thing. And within the group, I've had the opportunity to create those rooms. And that's like one of the biggest things I can wake up and smile about
Right.
today. So,
And speaking of creating rooms, like creating spaces, you guys are from Columbia, Maryland,
yeah.
which is a relatively small town, kind of, but it's in between two large cities, Baltimore, Washington, D.C. How do you think 40i has helped kind of create spaces within that small town and helped other creatives within the space, whether that's in Columbia, Laurel, D.C., and Baltimore, kind of come together in your city, or your town?
Well, most realistically and the most direct example of that is when we did Genesis last year. I just think that's important because a lot of those events that I was like going to, I was seeing that was happening in, they were probably happening around college campuses. They were happening in DC and they were happening in Baltimore. They were happening in New York. They were happening in LA. They were happening in Atlanta. They were happening not in this little suburb in Columbia, Maryland.
Right.
It's a growing suburb. We got like Merriweather and whatnot. But like,
it's a growing place.
Yeah, but like, it just wasn't happening. So to be able to make that type of environment where it's actually just young people, like literally around our age group, 19, 20, 21, you feel me? I feel like that was dope. Like rapping, doing art galleries and whatnot, like that's super cool. I would, in times where I really haven't been okay, I've like described Columbia as something like a little circle. Sometimes I feel like a little rat maze. It feels like, even though it's not hard to get anywhere, but it's just the idea that it's boring. It's kind of boring. That's it. That's the most simplest way to put it. Is kind of boring, and I've always been encouraged growing up here to go to college, and which is, I'm going to college. I ain't gonna lie, but when you want to be known for how you expressed yourself, it's not very conducive to that.
Right. Especially in a town full of not majority black people. Wealthy people, such like that. It can be kind of hard to find your space within that as a young black kid with foreign parents and things like that. So I understand that. Kind of back to the personal side of things, your personal side of things. I was looking through your Trokon and Derson Instagram and kind of looking at some of your shoots, like CCTV. Obviously, people see like the end of it, which is like, yo, like you're creating something dope, like these are dope pictures or whatever. But kind of talk us through like the process of that, how you start, how you find the idea, and how it just turns into that. Kind of run us through that whole process.
Okay. That's a great question. Finding the inspiration. I take a lot of inspiration from what I see, of course. I think that I'm going to take a second with this question.
Take your time, brother.
Yeah, I'm going to take a second with this question. Well, the question was, how you were running. You wanted me to run you through the process.
Yeah, so like CCTV, we kind of see like the end image of it. Everybody sees like the pictures.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But like, how do you start that as like an idea that you have in your room? Like, yo, CCTV would be great, and how do you kind of just formulate it into that?
Yeah. So a lot of the projects are taken from like the time and how I feel. So CCTV was one because I had gotten a VHS camera and I was like, what about this VHS camera do I really like? And it was the night shot mode. It was that just like I've seen a whole lot of night vision footage, or like sometimes you'll see like you'll be scrolling on Instagram, you'll see a video of people hunting coyotes or some shit like that, or like somebody on a Ring camera stealing somebody's package or something like that. So from the night vision thing, I came to a point of like found footage or like catching something. So the focus then came to a crime happening. So the crime, I was like, maybe I could start with like the quintessential like somebody getting shot, or somebody handing a dime bag to somebody, or et cetera, et cetera. But eventually I was like, I don't like those, you know. Sometimes you get into a point where you're like, you're taking things out of the vision too, because it starts really wide and you have to whittle things down. And then I was like, how can I make this fun? And so the example, the crime, the thing occurring became vandalism. From there, I got some spray paint, and I was like, how do I do this without spray painting the wall? So then I was looking into it. I went to a hardware store, and that's something I do a lot. I try to use like my surroundings and go to places to like further like set up sets and whatnot. Like, how can I make my shoot a little bit more involved? So I got the plastic backdrop thing, and I got a whole bunch of people together and said, yo, spray paint the wall. I got a good friend of mine, Oliad, to do the VHS footage. And I had people just run in and start spraying shit up. And I thought that was like a cool way to capture that. Another big thing about my shoots this year was like I wanted it to be a multi-person kind of thing to come to. I want them to be looked at as projects. I don't want them to be shoots. And so it became like all calls for them too. Having multiple people in my visions was like important to me this year because it helped me establish creative control. So with the shoots this year, like CCTV, it's been about practice. And it's been about creating a portfolio. It's been less of like throwing things together or just getting somebody who looks like they'd be a good model and saying, let's shoot this little theme. I wanted it to be not convoluted, but more so, what's the word for it? Meticulous.
Right.
So that's been my focus with
Right.
shoots, and that's kind of my model right now.
So with, like you just said, with like all calls and things like that, obviously one of the biggest things with like the creative space is like how you can collab with other people and how you work together with other people. Because at the end of the day, there's no creative that's done it alone. You know what I'm saying? So how do you kind of find yourself working in the space? Obviously, you're part of Creative Collective 40i, which obviously helps. But how do you kind of, outside of that group, collab with other artists, let's say photographers, models, artists, etc.?
I think it's just important to draw from your surroundings. That's a big thing. Especially, not that I'm the best at working with people, but I like people. I like putting people on camera. But for that question, networking, it's just important to get more views about what you do from other people.
Right.
I think that's really important because you could sit around in your own think tank all the time and it'll either debilitate you, make you really not want to do what you said you want to do, or just almost put you in a little can of just shaking up your own perspectives and your own things and not really informing from other things. So yeah, taking from people is important. Taking from... Now, on the other hand, it's also important to take from media, take from what you see, take from other things, but it's almost like a balance. There's a balance. So that's my answer for that.
Right. And obviously with other artists and things like that, creativity is such like a broad space. It's not like like you said, a corporate job where you're kind of one person is fighting for a spot or like one person is fighting to be a boss, right? Mm-hmm. It's a lot of different people kind of doing their own thing. So when it comes to competition within the space, it can kind of be a little murky because obviously you want to work with other people, but you also want to be the best at what you do within your space. How would you say that you've kind of navigated that area? Obviously, some of your closest friends are photographers. Some of your people that you work with frequently are photographers and do the exact same thing that you do. Mm-hmm. How do you kind of divide between, I want to work with these people and obviously learn from them, bounce off them, but I also want to be the best at what I do, being Trokon and Derson?
Well, with what I do, I think that you constantly already have to like reaffirm that I'm good at what I do, or I'm trying, or I think the most humbling thing about it is that I do generally have to accept like I'm not at where I want to be.
Right.
However, that doesn't change that you can make really good with. It's about like what you can do and how much you put into it. Not about knowing the most or being the best. I think that my general way of thinking about friends is that, and you can like, your friends are some of the best teachers you could ever have in your life.
Right.
People you come across, people you acquaintance yourself with, you can learn from them. So while, it's just, I compete with myself. I don't compete with other people. I think that it's probably the worst thing you could do to really compete with people that are around you. That's it. It's probably the worst thing to do for creativity, for yourself to compete with other people around you. So that's my answer.
Right. Yeah. And obviously with collaborations, you've collaborated with a lot of people. What would you say are like some of your favorite collaborations that you've done so far, or some collaboration that you'd like to do in the future?
Favorite collaborations.
It can be with a photographer, somebody that you've taken a photo of.
I wish we could turn the camera around. This is one of my favorite collaborators right here, filming us. You know what I'm saying? Only because it's always like an opportunity to further knowledge. And when you work with somebody that like you're good friends with, almost like the information synthesis is really powerful. And there's been a lot of like, there's also been like just a lot of aha moments when we've like partnered on some shit. Like it's been like, or like I'll even have an idea sitting around for a long time, and then I can break it out because I was around this nigga. And then other collaborations. My best. Working with Ra, doing shoots with Ra. The Star Moxie on Instagram. Just I like the way that they think. I see their like somebody who uses a lot of journals, especially when it comes to their creation, is like somebody who I can vibe with. I just see that they when you write down your thoughts, it just helps a lot towards creation. If that makes sense.
Right.
So those are some two good people I can name.
Yeah, I feel you. And I feel like with collaborations, obviously, like you just talked about with one of your closest friends, Josh, or the Star Moxie or Ra, obviously with these collaborations, you're learning from people. But obviously, you want to get to a point where people can kind of learn from you too. What is some advice that you'd have for people that's kind of starting out where you started out? You know what I'm saying? They have a camera and they know they want to take pictures, but they don't know exactly what they want to do. What's some advice that you'd have for people like that?
The advice for another photographer is the best advice when you pick up a camera and you don't know what you want to shoot is tinker. Just tinker away. Just shoot. Just go out and shoot. Waste a whole lot of money on cameras. Shoot. That's what I think. Because I feel like you're gonna get to a point. I'll use the rule of thirds. Shoot in the corner of the picture, in the corner of your frame. Just shoot in the corner of the frame. It always ends up looking good. And not even to just cheapen photography, but just play.
Yeah.
That's the best thing I can say to somebody who is starting out. Just play with it, because you'll start to see when you play.
So now let's talk about some of your future endeavors. Obviously, the CCTV shoot, what month was that? Like April? Mm-hmm. April, would you say? Mm-hmm. Was it March, April? You did that in April. Obviously, life goes on. Obviously, we can't take photos or be creative every day, do creative shoots every day, or everybody would. But what are some future projects that you think that you have in mind right now that you'd like to talk about with the audience, or that the audience has to look forward to?
Well, I have one I worked on last month in New York. That was my first time doing a shoot in New York. And I entitled it Geometric. I have all the shots done, and it's all up on my portfolio that I just added in my bio. You can expect it to be like some mixed media components. There's gonna be like some actual physical art that's added on top of the pictures. And beyond there, I want to do more things like that. That's kind of been my focus, coming from morning paper. That was from the beginning of the year. That was the first project of the year, where I did the whole newspaper backdrop. I literally saw, I saw it somewhere, you know what I mean?
Right.
But what was helpful to me was about the time that I spent on it, about the thoughtfulness that I put into the literally parts of the backdrop, and how I used it in the shoot. And it started to, like, with photography, you get, or with anything that you pick up, you get a aha moment from the jump. You see something you like about it a little bit further. There's always like parts that keep you kind of moving and start to influence the lanes and the pathways you kind of take. There's always different stops that start to change your route. And so right now, I want to get more into set building. I want to get more into mixed media. And I want to take
less of a focus in working with a whole bunch of people right now, and want to take these projects working in small groups, because it's like exercise to me right now. So yeah, more exercises, more visual exercises to come out and for people to see.
Yeah. And you just talked about how you kind of want to get into set building and multimedia and things like that. What are some other things that you think could take your photography to the next level? You were saying, obviously, you said some of your inspirations like Gunnar Stone and things like that. What do you think could get you to the level of those guys?
I think it's important to use photography as a springboard to get into different things. So I definitely want to get into video. More importantly, I want to work at a studio. I have one in mind, and I have a plan in which I want to like kind of influence what I'm doing. I feel like if you come into a space, you should leave your mark on it. So that's kind of what I plan to do there. Just I don't think this is the quickest routes to get somewhere. And so I want to soak up as much knowledge as possible in the next parts of what I'm doing. I want to learn from people who are doing it at a much bigger scale than I am. I
Right.
think that's important.
Yeah, well, I think within creativity, obviously, in the photo space, you know what I'm saying, you've got to kind of be in it, you know what I'm saying, to experience what you want to do or like to figure out what you want to do. And I think one thing you know what I'm saying, obviously I've been around you a lot, you know what I'm saying, I've been around when you do the photo shoots. One of the things I kind of get from you is that you're very on it. You know what I'm saying, like once you think something, like you're kind of on it. You're kind of hyper fixated on certain things, which could seem like a bad thing, but can also be a good thing, especially when you're trying to be productive within this space. And I think one thing that you do very well is that when you have an idea fleshed out, like the CCTV shoot, you were saying I was there, you really kind of put your mind to it and kind of focus on it. So I think you have a lot of things to look forward to in your future. And you know what I'm saying, keep going where you're going. Obviously, you and him, Josh, you guys do an amazing job at what you guys do. And I think sooner or later, you guys are going to bear the fruits of your labor. So I'd like to congratulate you. Appreciate you for sitting down with me, brother.